A default would set off dire consequences. A new Moody's report estimates nearly 6 million jobs would be lost as a result. And now a group of former Treasury secretaries have sent a letter to congressional leadership warning this. Even a short-lived default could threaten economic growth. It creates the risk of roiling markets and of sapping economic confidence, and it would prevent Americans from receiving vital services. Joining us now is one of those former Treasury secretaries who wrote this letter, Larry Summers, with us. So this is the message, Larry, that you have here, that even dancing with this idea could cause an accidental default. Tell us why you were on board with this letter.
Look, the credit of the United States, going back to Alexander Hamilton, is a fundamental national asset. It's the basis of all financial markets. It's the basis of the way the government is able to spend money. It's been unimpeachable. If it is called into question, if we don't meet our obligations, if it even gets to a point where there's a serious risk that we will not meet our obligations, people are going to be at sea. They're going to become highly uncertain. They're going to freeze their spending plans. They're going to have difficulty with the collateral they have for their financial positions. And you've got a risk of financial chaos. You can debate how much we should spend, whether how progressive taxes should be, what we should do about the corporate tax. There's plenty of stuff that you should debate, but nobody should be debating whether the United States is going to pay its debts back or not. We've already incurred these debts. We must pay them back. Let's just get on with it. If my kid spends too much on his credit card, we might have a family debate about whether I'm going to pay the bill or whether he's going to pay the bill, but it's not an option for our family to stiff the credit card company. It's not an option for the government of the United States to stiff its bondholders. We need to move on to the so many serious issues that the country faces.
Now, right now, one of those things for the Biden administration is infrastructure and other wide-ranging spending that is really part of a social safety net, as President Biden is trying to champion. There's two bills, just to be clear. One is a bipartisan bill. It's a little smaller. Then there's this huge $3 trillion plus bill that Democrats are going it alone on, sort of. And I wonder what you think about what's happening in the House, where progressives are drawing a hard line, and they're saying, look, to moderates and other Democrats, they're saying you have to pass both of these or we're doing nothing. Do you think it's really all or nothing?
I hope not. Legislation's about compromise. I don't think there's any question that the country needs investments in infrastructure. I don't think there's any question that there are ways we can strengthen our investment in people. Our 4-year-olds should be in some kind of pre-kindergarten. God knows, look at all the fires. We've got to make investments with respect to climate change. So they should be finding a compromise through. That may mean less spending. It certainly means that spending should be paid for given the inflationary threats. But we have got to find a way to move forward. And my very great hope is that we will. I think that if you look at the history of major legislative initiatives, they always have some near-death moments along the way. We're going through that valley right now, but I hope we will find our way through.
You've been critical of the Biden administration when it comes to inflation, Larry. How is the president managing this current economic debate?
I think we're fortunate to have this president at this time. I've been glad to see the administration emphasize that if we invest more in supply, in infrastructure, for example, that will break through bottlenecks, over time, that can help us have higher wages and more output with less inflation. I do think it's absolutely critical that any further investments from here be paid for promptly with new revenues. I don't think we can afford an increase in the level of deficits and borrowing based spending given the inflation issues that exist in the country. I think in general, we're got more of an inflation problem than many people realize. I suspect that means interest rates are going to go up a bit faster than is anticipated by the markets in a way that was signaled by Chairman Powell yesterday.
As you're watching this infighting in the House Democratic caucus and in the Senate, what is your optimism level when it comes to the Biden agenda? What's realistic to get through?
I think it's realistic to have the most important attack on children in poverty that we've had in this country in 60 years. I think it's realistic to have the most important set of initiatives around climate change that the country has ever had. I think it's possible to make a big investment in our young people's access to community college. Frankly, do I think that every single element of the program that's been put forward is necessary at this moment? No. Do I think there's too much of choosing everybody's priority? Yes. But is there an opportunity to make historically memorable investments in the people and the resources of our country? Yes, I think there is. I think that can be done in a financially responsible way. And I think it is absolutely. I am not one who believes, Brianna, that we're in some kind of Cold War with China. I think that's the wrong whole way of thinking about it. But I do think that our technological leadership is threatened in a way it hasn't been in quite some time. And we need to make crucial investments in science and technology as well. So we need to be tough minded. We need to recognize we can't buy everything tomorrow, but we need to recognize that we're going to need to raise taxes to pay for it. And there's some attractive tax targets for taxation, starting from the $700 billion a year. Let me say that again, $700 billion a year tax gap. But there's the potential to do something that all moderates should support and that would also be the greatest progressive accomplishment we've had in this country in well over a generation. And I have a suspicion that President Biden's going to lead us towards finding that sweet spot. But it's going to involve probably some more spending than some moderates prefer. And it's certainly not going to involve everything that progressives want to see.
Larry, it is so great to speak with you this morning. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you.